Lore, what fun summer activities are you doing to pass the time until Halloween season?
Staying inside and playing video games. I grew up in the prime time of Goosebumps when the books were being published and the TV show was airing, but I did not watch it in my childhood at all because as a kid, I was afraid of everything. I didn't get into Goosebumps until high school because I was starting to have an interest in horror themes, but I wasn't ready for really scary stuff yet. All of the kids' horror I was consuming as a teenager, including listening to the audiobooks. So in 2007, when everyone was walking around with early iPods and Zunes, I had a cassette player and I thought that I was really cool. I think I was kind of cool for doing that.
If this time I pushed down, I didn't get a chance to find out. The elevator started with a...
Recognize that voice? It's Invader Zim's voice actor. Anyways, we'll get more into this later. Goosebumps became such a big part of my life because my best friend and I really bonded over it. We would watch them together. We still often marathon them and talk about it, and we would collect Goosebumps things over the years, and this resulted in me grabbing a bunch of their games secondhand, but I've never really sat down and played through them. I have set out to play every Goosebumps game and tell you if they're worth playing. There actually isn't that many of them, although it seems like the list is very long. There's actually just 5 unique games. Some of them were re-released under different names for different platforms. Starting off, let's explore Goosebumps Escape from Horrorland, which was released for PC in 1996. This game is a simple interactive movie which acts as a sequel to One Day at Horrorland, and the objective is to save your parents from the monsters known as horrors. Spoiler alert, it has 2 different endings. It was created by filming live actors on a green screen, and it plays out different scenes that you can watch, and then it kind of pauses for you to make selections, play simple puzzles, and complete mazes. It is definitely geared at kids. It is very simple. They're not very challenging, but I think the overall aesthetic is perfect for Goosebumps. The acting really feels just like an extended episode of Goosebumps. Jeff Goldblum is in it, which is pretty cool. His performance is a little bit mild for him, which is strange, but it's cool that he's there. Made me want to rewatch Jurassic Park. I will mention that the view of the game is done through a fisheye style, which is definitely very nostalgic for the time, but the movement of it can make the edges a little bit weird. It gave me a little bit of mild motion sickness, so just be cautious and don't move around too crazily if that's something that might affect you as well. Is it worth playing? No. No, not by today's standards, I don't think, unless you're super nostalgic for it. It's also incredibly difficult to get to run on modern day computers. There's no current release for modern day computers. You have to do it in a complicated manner. I couldn't get it to work, so then I actually ended up playing it on an old computer, but then I wasn't able to capture it, and even playing it on my old computer, I had a lot of crashes. It just doesn't run very well. And I don't think that the gameplay is enough to justify going through the work to install it. I think that it's something that you can definitely enjoy just by watching a walkthrough on YouTube. There are several that are listed with no commentary at all, so it's just like you're experiencing it. And there's a bunch of people who have covered this game because it seems to be the most known or the most talked about Goosebumps game. I think it would be great if you were having a Halloween party or like a 90s party to put this video up on a TV with no sound or maybe just like music in the background. It would give good ambiance for that, but I don't think that you need to go through the work to play it. You can experience it by watching it.
Leave. You belong here now.
Goosebumps Attack of the Mutant 1997. In order to prepare for this section, I not only played the game, but I also listened to the audiobook, which, yes, Richard Horvitz, the voice actor for Invader Zim, as well as many other voices, is a protagonist in this audiobook. And I spent half of it being like, who is this voice? Why do I know it? I also watched the 2-part TV series, which, by the way, Adam West is in. Adam West also voices a character in the game, as well as Jim Belushi. I really tried to get into the story, The Attack of the Mutant, because I just did not remember it at all from watching Goosebumps and listening to it before. And still, I feel like none of this information really sank in with me because I simply don't care about this story. And I feel like R.L. Stine was trying to make Attack of the Mutant a thing. And I also assume that that didn't really work out because after this game, there was not a lot of Attack of the Mutant stuff. And everyone I know who's liked Goosebumps really does not care for this story. So what actually happens? This game is an expansion on that story, and there is basically a kid who's really into comic books. He's into the Masked Mutant. He tries to connect with his friends on it. They don't really care. He ends up going to a facility that is in the comics. The end of the book is that he kind of realizes he was living in the comic world all along. He bleeds ink, so he is like a comic book character. And in the TV series, he ends up becoming a fictional hero. So I feel like he kind of crosses over into the comic world. The game is still classified as a interactive movie. It mixes both filmed elements with early 3D modeling, and you cannot look up and down. You sort of look side to side and explore places similarly to the last game. However, there's a little bit more combat. The style of this game is ugly. I'm sorry. Maybe if you're nostalgic for it, it will be nice for you, but it reminds me of Reboot, and I love Reboot. I love the characters. I love the story. But rewatching it now, it is an ugly show. There are a lot of scenes with extreme close-ups because you know that they don't want to animate as much. And it's quite painful. And this game was just ugly. It's ugly. It's based on a story I cannot care about. I've tried to care about. I just don't. Is it worth playing? No. Again, there are playthroughs on YouTube. You can watch it. It's not worth trying to make run on your computer. I know this video is kind of a bummer so far because the first 2 games I don't think are worth playing, but let's travel forward 11 years and this game is still absolutely worth playing. I love this game. I wanted to explain it first before I released my bias, but I can't. I really love this game. I just love the Horrorland story and the idea of this theme park that's run by monsters and kind of connects you to this other world of monsters. It's exactly right up my alley, especially as a haunt actor. Like, I would love to be able to go to an all year round horror theme park. In this game, you get to explore Horrorland even more through minigames. There's an overall story that's linked through the minigames. You can play on a story mode and then unlock them as an arcade style and then just play them individually as you please. You do need a nunchuck to play some of the games, and you cannot get enough to unlock the new areas without playing the games that require a nunchuck. And I could not find a nunchuck for the longest time. I feel like those of you who have a Wii sitting around, you often lose like the motion plus and the nunchuck, and then you run into games where you need it, and it's so frustrating. But I did eventually find some, and I was able to play it. The graphics are super dated, but to me, it's the exact nostalgia that I want. It's not too ugly to the point where I can't play it. I still really enjoy it. I find that sometimes with games where I didn't play it growing up, when I go back to that aesthetic, I can't do it. But this one I can because it's just so perfect. Is this worth playing? Yes, absolutely. I really think that it is, especially if you have similar friends who are into older games and horror themes and Halloween, I think this would be a great party game. I think that it would be really fun to have people take turns and see who can get a high score. The Horrorland Goosebumps episode, because it had such a small budget, you didn't really get to see a lot of the theme park, and it was just kind of filmed in like parks. But this game, you can actually see it. So if you've been wanting to explore more of Horrorland, if you're a fan of that story like me, you get to see a lot more of it and actually interact with it and feel like you are a part of it.
The 3DS version of the game has identical mini-games, and I found that most of them were easier to play on the Wii because I find the controls for the Wii a bit more intuitive. Like, this Monster Mash game felt impossible on the 3DS because you are supposed to lock on a target and then flick the ball towards it, but it wouldn't register the flicking motion. There was no consistency with it, and I know that my 3DS touchscreen is calibrated because I have had no other issues with other games. But then the Horrorland Derby was a lot easier on the 3DS. There are also significant loading screens between each game, which are more noticeable on the 3DS because it's always the same image. I'm not sure if the loading screens are actually longer, but they definitely feel longer. I prefer the Wii version because I think it's a lot easier to involve friends and have it be a shared experience, rather than having people curl up around a 3DS or pass around a 3DS. I think it's fun as a 3DS game for something you pick up and play for short periods of time, like waiting in line for something or on transit. I don't see myself getting sucked into it for a long period of time the way I would with, say, a Pokemon game.
Goosebumps the Game 2015 is the prequel to the 2015 Goosebumps movie. It is a visual novel style game where you go from scene to scene, interacting with things and collecting items in order to progress. I like to choose the chaotic option in these games. I am really fun to play D&D with, I promise. But this usually results in you just dying and you have to go back. So I was kind of annoyed by that. The player character returns home from school to find that his house has become the dead house, and areas of his neighborhood have been disturbed and changed by the Goosebumps world. I don't like this style of game in general, so I really didn't enjoy this game because I am dyslexic and I don't like to read. There was no voice acting. I feel like even if there was an option for text to speech, I would have enjoyed this a lot more. But there was a lot of reading, and the items that you can click were not clear. So I spent a lot of time just clicking absolutely everywhere because I couldn't really decipher what I should click or not. Is this game worth playing? To me, no. But it was on sale for $1 on Steam, so it was worth the experience of seeing it. I wouldn't pay any more for it than that. But if you really enjoy visual novels, this could be a great game for you. It does encapsulate that kind of Goosebumps cartoony style and nostalgia. If your favorite way to consume Goosebumps was reading the books, this is like an elevated version of that, where you can interact with it more and see it and hear the ambiance and sounds. Lastly, we have Goosebumps Dead at Night, released in 2020. This is a first-person survival horror game, and usually I have issues with first-person games, but I did not get motion sick from this one at all, so I am very grateful for that. This game is based off of the movie where Jack Black plays R.L. Stine, which I still am very confused by that casting. Is it supposed to be ironic? Because Jack Black is such an animated person and R.L. Stine is the most dry, monotone guy that there is, and that's what I love about him. In all of his appearances through Goosebumps, he always has the same dry delivery, and it's so great. And I feel like even though Jack Black tries to play a stern character, he still comes off way more animated, even though he's trying not to be. It's sort of a meta take on the Goosebumps universe because we are seeing it as R.L. Stine and his characters coming to life. In the game, Slappy releases all of the monsters from his books, and you have to confront them and collect pages to put them back in their place and just survive from them. This game plays a lot like FNAF's Security Breach. There's a lot of just hiding in places and running from different creatures and monsters. There are jump scares, but they are really, really mild in comparison. There are different levels of intensity. If you play through the regular mode, I find that the guidance really helps you keep on task, because without it, you kind of get lost with just wandering the house. Is this game worth playing? Yes, absolutely. I absolutely think that it is 100%. If you were going to play just one Goosebumps game, play this game. I feel like it has all the charm and nostalgia and vibes that you want from Goosebumps, but in a modern graphic style that feels really immersive, feels really fun. Especially if you want to play a game like Security Breach, but you want something that's a little more timid, a little bit easier. I think that this would be a great game for you because it is meant still for a younger audience in mind. Please let me know if you have any experience with any of these games, if you played them back in the day or recognize them, if I unlocked any memories. If you agree or disagree with my opinions of them, I'm totally open to hear. And if you are someone who loves Halloween and is suffering through summer, please also let me know in the comments so we can stick this out together. Y'all were afraid of wood paneling? You know what's scarier than wood paneling? Wood paneling and a door. Where does that door lead? You'll never know. A curtain. What's behind the curtain? It's a mystery. It's an absolute mystery. Keep watching my videos. Maybe one day I'll tell you the secrets of the curtain and the door.